Hello, this is Deb Helfrich, hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy. Today we're going to talk about the ABCs of Wellbeing Philosophy. Simple as this: A for anti-racism, B for bioelectricity, the custom-created philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity that unites African, Eastern, and Western medicine, both ancestral principles like shamanism, and cutting, bleeding edge, like focused ultrasound. It's all explainable. We're all right. We just had different frameworks of explanation. Which leads to the C of well-being philosophy: consciousness. Understood is an easy problem. We're all experiencing it every single day of our lives. Well, actually, most of y'all are sheep. You're not really experiencing a fully free consciousness. You know, I've taken to saying to people, be well. And it occurred to me last night that the answer, truthfully, is to pivot, to use the phrase, be free. Understanding consciousness is freedom. Understanding that we must create an anti-racist society is freedom from hundreds of years of everyone being in this model of enslavement. It is incredibly challenging to be oppressed, but it is not a good look for a soul to be an oppressor. Much of what is attributed to the urban myth of white fragility has to deal with the ramifications of having one human feel superior to many others. When I say white fragility is an urban myth, physiologically, it's really a thing. There is really a great deal of fragility tied up in the way that privileged democracy, as it has played out in the US of hypocrisy, and elitist capitalism, even the beneficiaries end up losing their souls. And so what it takes right now is seating everyone in their humanity, is seating the fact that we all have skin and it comes in a variety of beautiful colors that signify merely one thing. The average of all of our ancestors and the optimal latitude upon which, if we reside, we gain as much energy from sunlight as we do from what we ingest as food. You see, most of what's happened as humans have moved to different latitudes is we've gotten that balance incorrect. I know quite a bit about metamorphizing from a polar bear to a giraffe after turning 50, losing 150 pounds, changing the entire shape of my body, just from using philosophical thinking. Not changing what I ate, not doing any sort of exercise in the way you conceive of it. Still, I dialed in on the evolutionary subroutine that demonstrates how crucial thinking is to something as intractable as being morbidly obese for 49 years. Woke up one morning and said, that's going to sort itself out nicely. And it has. Hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy offers a serious upgrade to the mechanistic, separatist thinking that puts us all in silos. I was just reading that the Gates Foundation is sharing that COVID anywhere means COVID's everywhere. Something like that. They're essentially saying is, as long as it exists in one small little tiny rural region of Earth, the pandemic can start up all over again. We're one species, y'all. Homo sapiens sapiens. And I have a philosophy, a philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity that helps us all think a lot more clearly about not just the thinking equipment that we're operating, but the entire matrix of being in possession of a human body, brain, and soul triad. You've got to account for all three dimensions, and you can do so with the three major forces: mechanical, chemical, and electromagnetic. 1 + 1 = 3. This is the math of life. This is the base heuristic that explains the ABCs of well-being philosophy: anti-racism, bioelectricity, and consciousness as an easy problem. It happens when you understand all the context, which is life, where 1 + 1 = 3. In 9 words, the context of when 1 + 1 = 3 is entirely valid. Now you can keep your counting math, 1 + 1 = 2. All of that stuff continues to be precisely as it is when you're talking about life, from single cell amoeba up to the pinnacle of evolution, as far as we know right now, Homo sapiens sapiens. I mean, it's not going to be Planet of the Apes, y'all. If something goes wrong on terrestrial Earth and we're goners, so are the apes. So what planet would it be? What is the next most logical super intelligence, pinnacle intelligence? Aquatic mammals. So look, when you optimize your own bioelectricity, your thinking equipment is on fire. You can see, like, what is, why we don't have a Planet of the Dolphins franchise? Planet of the Orcas. Definitely going to be the case up here in the Pacific Northwest. But let's not see what happens if we destroy the capacity of terrestrial Earth to support mammalian life. Let's not do that. Let's unite as one single species, because COVID has become the catalyst to have all of us take a long look at evolutionary logic and what it means to need to evolve our consciousness right now so that we can actually stick around despite the capacity of coronavirus to be the most lethal foe that humanity has ever faced so far. Not in the instantaneous blow-up way, not in the way that our big tentpole Hollywood movies want us to think our species goes out, but in the slow drip. It's just going to keep coming for us. It's invisible. We don't really have any science. If you've noticed, a lot of science, March and April. Science has basically disappeared. I mean, people are always talking about they're going to be the ones going to get rich because of the vaccine. This was supposed to be a short little thing, but I am an anti-vaxxer. Now, I don't know quite what that means culturally, and I don't really know. I don't know, apart from the fact that the people are paid to be so heinously pro-vaccine. I mean, the pro-vaxxers, these are people who are just like, they're some of the most abusive people I can imagine. Why would you so hate people whose kids have been affected and they're looking for answers in a logical place? Now, my anti-vaccine strategy takes me one word. It's a compound word. I like to hyphenate to get precision, as in life-centric thinking. Occasionally I say humane, especially when I'm talking about human activity, human civilization, humane works. But we need an actual life-centric thinking on this globe. We need bees, we need plants, we need a soil cycle that puts most of the carbon back in the ground where it belongs, not hanging out in the atmosphere, poisoning everything. Our air is supposed to be mostly nitrogen. with a nice little supply of oxygen. As the amount of carbon, even in your near-in atmosphere right here, your body starts objecting. A great deal of what's going on chronic disease-wise is the toxic carbon environmental pollution happening in our near-in atmosphere. So I'm anti-vaccine in one word: interoperability. Who's doing the testing on all of these proprietary formulas from all these different companies? And you throw in all these vaccines into tiny little children at the same time without rigorous interoperability tests. I mean, this is what's going on with your app landscape, America. It's why nobody's brain works well anymore, why we've got a 5-second attention span and dipping. It's become chaos since the 80s. We hit the point of having the technological capacities for no one person to really be able to see holistically how any of this fits together. And that's what the skill of well-being philosophy is in a degreed philosopher like myself, who spent her whole life going, I don't think linearly, I think holistically, 360 degrees. And it is a fabulous skill that I want to mentor the globe on. All people around the globe, not just rich people. I'd prefer to actually start in Africa or the Caribbean. I'm certain that my path to profit will be a lot quicker serving people whose brains aren't poisoned into the post-colonialism, capitalism is God, elitism, that the privileged democracy of the US of hypocrisy makes seem like it's the way everything was meant to be on earth, but all it does is create misery for 90% of the planet. We deserve a better human civilization framework. And life-centric thinking using evolutionary logic is the key. I don't know what's gonna come. It's not my job to make these decisions. It's my job to ask a lot better questions. That's what hashtag wellbeing philosophy is about. Learning how to use our human thinking equipment so that we can ask much more precise, valid, and solvable questions in a time of utter chaos. Deb Helfrich, www.insightsoccur.com. Please support my work. Go to /donate and fund the thinking that enables every human to have an actual shot of contributing their own intelligence to the question of how do we evolve past viral pandemic chaos of 2020. We're going to need to do it together. We do it separately in silos, I guarantee species will self-extinct in around 30 years. Let's all start collaborating. Collaborative capitalism, this is a foundational idea of which I'm quite proud of having. I don't know how it's going to work out. That's for all the economists. I don't really care. But we need to actually integrate, synthesize, see things as a generalist, and work to solve a problem for me, keeping my mind open about whether that solves a problem in Africa, whether it's true, whether a human in Africa would see things in a similar way. Start just thinking just a little bit more, just one more level. 1 + 1 = 3. Not either or. It's not this way or that way. It's not just cause and effect. Cause and effect is literally a delusion. This is where mechanistic physics and quantum physics we can't, nothing is either or. Nothing is a simple one cause and effect when you're talking about something as complex as a human body. Chronic disease is operating on many, many, many levels. There's many, many, many dimensions. But this excess carbon is such a huge one and is completely invisible to us because cause and effect is very biased towards the sense of sight. The sense of smell is very ancestral, not just within our own species, but interspecies. We know our dogs smell a lot more robustly than we do, a lot more intelligently. Most life form does use smell. The fact that we have evolved the capacity to understand how crucial smell is part of why we're in such a horrific state. Ever escalating burdens of chronic disease. Well-being philosophy, we're going to unite your mind, your body, and your surroundings into one package to help you be as optimal as you can be. Because the second you are, you care about the next person and your wider community. And humans just like you who you'd really like to meet, but they happen to be in Africa. Let's be on the side of Homo sapiens sapiens. The primates with a lot of knowing. Stop being sheep. Stop finding zombies really cool. And let's start using our thinking equipment at the edge of human potential. It's been Deb Helfrich. Hope you enjoyed this very, very, very universal and global tour through #Wellbeing Philosophy.